Greetings, self the interweb. I am Powerpuff, review of the good, the bad, and the underrated. Happy New Year, viewers. It's pretty safe to say 2016 was hard to get through, to put it lightly. And I'm going to look at one of the many blemishes on the media last year. A subpar reboot.
There were a surprisingly large amount of bad remakes or adaptations last year, and by far the worst in the cartoon world to debut last year was the new Powerpuff Girls. I've already detailed my feelings in short when I reviewed a crappy crossover with the absolute worst cartoon reboot ever, although a lot of people actually seem to like that one. Good for them. But it's been waiting for me to rip at a new piece of crap for a long time. And now we're going for one of the most despised episodes, even among its few fans, Horn Sweet Horn. Honestly, I was initially planning to review Painbow because of... But that's already been reviewed by the mysterious Mr. Enter, who, as always, covered pretty much everything possible in his review, and my biggest fear as a critic is my opinion or my video being redundant. But then I heard about Horn Sweet Horn and... oh dear, look, I'm not going to reveal the intention of the writers until the conclusion to see if you can see it, but even taking that out, the foundation of this thing is even more flawed than a house built on quicksand. In the Mariana Trench.
So let's see how badly a message can get botched, as well as making a good case for making a species extinct, even if it's mythical, as we take a look at the 2016 Powerpuff Girls Horn Sweet Horn.
After our intro trying so hard to be cool, it's really not cool.
Lyrics.
This episode starts with a trip to the zoo.
And so, you see, children, that is why you should not try to kiss a giant python. Oh boy.
That guy is going to get slowly and painfully digested in the stomach acid of that python. Bubbles then gets laughed down for wanting to see a unicorn, but in a universe where giant monsters constantly attack Townsville, I don't see how a unicorn is so implausible. And is it just me, or do all the other side characters look really out of place next to the girls? I can't put my finger on it, but it looks like they're styled for a different show.
Behold, a real-life unicorn horn! Totally real unicorn horn!
Stating the obvious is hilarious.
Look at my fez!
Fez. However, then a unicorn summoned and...
Bubbles, I think you have something in your eye. It looks weird, painful, and poorly animated.
For whatever reason, Bubbles gets loads of emotes in her eyes because... funny? It just comes off as cheap, when her voice breaks whenever she says unicorn.
For an unicorn! Oh, unicorn!
It's like Sweetie Belle, except instead of being cute, it's...
unicorn!
If this hadn't done in my eardrums, Justin Bieber would have eventually.
Girls then argue over Dwarf Big Mac, but it turns out he can talk. Okay, screw the unicorn idea. A talking horse is amazing, isn't it?
We'll get the professor to turn you into a real unicorn, and everyone will see how wrong they were.
The adorable, pure little Bubbles, everyone.
Also, apparently horrible genetic mutation is legal, and wild animals are allowed on school buses. Good to know. Stupid, but good to know.
The Townsville Pickle Museum is having its grand opening.
Next you'll be telling me there's a barbed wire museum. Well, I live in a world where Donald Trump is president, so I guess anything's possible.
Also, why is the mayor tour guiding? I don't think that falls under his responsibilities.
Gee, Bubbles, I don't know.
I'll be breaking every law of both man and nature, but what the heck, I amputated my morality before the show started.
You could try and turn him into a unicorn using the transmogrifying ray I just happened to finish this afternoon.
How incredibly convenient!
But it hasn't been properly tested.
Professor, he needs this! I need this!
Okay, not only was that line read terrible, but what the hell is up with Bubbles this episode?
Even in the few episodes I saw of the show, Bubbles was reasonably in character. She had as little personality as the other girls were given in the show, but she was still recognisably Bubbles, definitely nowhere near as bad as Buttercup. Since when did someone slip some Azula in her baby bottle?
Everyone will see how wrong they were! We will dominate the earth!
scarily similar, aren't they?
As long as my BFF Bubbles says it's a good idea, I am down! Completely trust you, brah.
You've known her for an afternoon. If you're friends, that means I'm the Prime Minister because I've been living in Britain all my life. Also, she's a sis, not a bra. If any one of those girls is a bra, it's clearly Buttercup.
It's definitely not a unicorn. It's just... sad.
I mean, we can practically see her Adam's apple. I know a lot of tomboy characters have a raspy voice, but Buttercup sounds like when women are voicing little boys, like, say, Timmy Turner.
It's a serious choice. Got it! Thoroughly weigh your options as you read through this document in its entirety.
I skimmed it.
What's the matter with you?
And of course he's made into... a thing?
Professor?
Bubbles, what have you done to me?
Well, you didn't read the risks, so no, it's your fault, Manure for Brains. He runs around town and chases into Pumbaa playing Satan.
This is the crystal pickle of despair. Legend has it that if it breaks, bad luck would rain down upon us forever.
And here we have the complete opposite of tension.
Freak! I am not a freak!
Well, you're the one acting like a freak, so you're not exactly helping matters, are you? Fool.
I'm a freak. We are no longer BFFs.
Well, you never were, considering you've known each other for, at most, an afternoon.
He is not a freak!
Wrong!
I knew this was a bad idea.
Then you should have spoken up, Butterbrains. He morphs further while Bubbles tries to be supportive.
She fails.
Unicorns are real, and this proves it. Because I summoned you. You appeared.
No, you called a horse.
Donnie, in your heart of hearts, you know you are a real live unicorn.
Then he was living a lie. She then gets beaten up. Oh, God, that's so satisfying. And Donnie falls to his Sailor Moon transformation?
He's turned back into a pony. But how? You guys.
What is happening? Explain.
We heard the call of your summoning horn. Sorry we're late. Somebody didn't want to use the GPS.
I knew a shortcut. Well, I thought I did.
Stallions.
We then get our redundant message of that it isn't what you are on the outside, but inside the map.
You're old enough now to know the truth. I had to wait until you went on an intense journey of adolescent self-discovery.
What is even going on right now?
Well, if I know.
It turns out he does have a horn and never noticed.
You are made of stupid.
This was the best day ever!
No, it wasn't. And so our episode ends with Bubbles getting another kazoo and the unicorns fly off into the sunset, hopefully to never return again.
The day was saved thanks to
The Unicorn Coalition Alliance Brigade Headquarters. It sounds made up, but it's totally not.
Well, that song sounds good, but it's totally not.
So that was the Powerpuff Girls' Horn Sweet Horn. Where do I even start?
The animation is inconsistent, the story's poor with some really awful pacing to boot, the comedy is awful as most of it is just pointing out stuff or characters being morons, and all the characters are so unlikable. Bubbles is so horrendously out of character, even for the version in the show, that it feels more like I'm watching Princess Warbucks. Donnie's are pretty annoying and utterly stupid, while the few bits of Blossom and Buttercup we get are either forgettable or idiotic. The pacing of this episode also means that quite a bit of it goes by too quickly, with the jokes, ideas, and I think what was intended to be serious just arrive, then we have to move on to the next thing immediately, so most of it goes by in a blur, and consequently is very forgettable, except the particularly awful moments. The show really does have this awful feeling of being so pandering to kids, rather than giving them good characters, jokes, and stories. They just throw memes and random crap at the screen. Maybe this is what kids like today, I don't know, but personally, crap like this would have just bored me when I was a kid.
Oh, remember that message I mentioned the writers intended earlier? Well, they actually meant for this episode to be a message about transgender people. Yeah, these people who have a writing talent that the crew of Avengers Ultron Revolution would laugh at, trying to do something I don't think even Steven Universe would try. I can't comment on the subject, of course, since I'm not mature enough, I don't have experience with it, and I know I don't have the tact to. So if one teenage boy knows he can't do this message, why didn't a team of writers just stop and think for a moment? Just think!
Okay, of course I have to comment on it, but only to say how confused the moral is. Donnie's supposed to represent transgender people. Okay. When he attempts to become a different species, or gender in this case, he acts like a monster when he's in between both horse and unicorn, or man and woman in other words. When he finally figures out he is one species rather than the other, he's good again? So, in other words, this story makes it seem like they're saying transgender people are bad, except when they figure out they're actually one gender and...
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Enough people have cried foul on this message already, and I think I've said enough to prove how bollocks it is. How the writers even apologised for it after the episode. Good for them acknowledging their mistake, but still, they should have realised before that they didn't have the tact to carry out this subject. If you don't have the skill to pull off a serious subject like this, don't even try. And frankly, this is one of the few times I've been reviewing something for this channel that I have felt truly disgusted. So in the end, this episode sucked. And since I only watched the first 3 episodes of this show to prepare for my TTG versus PPG review, I actually managed to just miss this episode. Man, did I dodge a bullet.
Well, it feels good to overcome the sins to the past so I can hopefully move on to the tribes of the future. I'm Powerpuff. Thank you for watching.
Big fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Big fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Big fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Big fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.